Hello shareholders, hello potential shareholders, and hello to the new channel members who will also be shareholders because channel members can get shares. So what's in this week's show? Well, first up, let's talk about Rizzini. The main item in this week's show is about the Italian gun maker Rizzini. Beautiful guns, beautiful country, and culturally an important one for us to do because, well, Italy is not just shaped like a boot. Commercially, it's our Achilles heel. The Italians tend to believe that the internet in general and internet TV in particular is a passing phase. Well, I'm very glad that one of them has broken ranks, and I hope more do the same. It's going to benefit us, and it's certainly going to benefit them, because if you're trying to sell guns, tell the story behind those guns. For the second item, Crowhow is back. Andy is out after fallow deer on the farm. Now, it turned out to be a rather expensive item for us because David left probably our best camera on the front wheel arch of Crow's JCB, and David went to move the Polaris, and then Crow moved the JCB, and oops, well, it happens. Now, in this week's DPO news, we have a problem we had to solve. We've got a brochure which you can have a look at, and we have the latest in our, well, my short series on gun trade marketing. We have a gun trade marketing guru to talk to you. First of all, we had a glitch last week, maybe even a hack. Something, not someone, we reckon it's a something, turned all of our videos, all 3,000 videos we have on YouTube, to unlisted. That means nobody can see them unless they have the link. Now, the ones that were changed to unlisted were both the public ones, which go out as our shows, the private ones, which for whatever reason we've switched to private, and the unlisted ones, which are the ones we send out to our advertisers when we've made the film for them to have a look at and say, yes, we love it, or we'd like you to change this or that. Now, the whole lot become unlisted. It took 2 days to change them back to the public and the private and the unlisted that they're supposed to be. And you might have noticed in that process, if you are a YouTube subscriber to Phil Sports Channel, some not-for-public videos turning up in your feed. Those not-for-public videos, of course, we turned back to private. And it had an effect on our views. We lost almost all of our views for one day because nobody could find our videos, and it took about 5 days for our views to get back to the 50,000 plus a day that we normally get. So over the course of the week, I reckon we lost maybe 200,000 views, which is actually not that bad for us. Would have been disastrous if it had been one of the magazines. And because people's subscription feeds were flooded, we lost about 500 subscribers as well. It's taken us a week to get back to where we were. It took so long to turn the videos back to public and private that it couldn't have been a single person who went in and manually clicked them all to unlisted. So the two possibilities are that it could be a Google glitch, or it could have been from one of the companies that manage our YouTube videos. So we don't know which one it was. Obviously we've asked them, and they've all said no, it wasn't us. We have no idea either. If it was one of the companies, it would have had to have been somebody who didn't like what we do, making what's called an API call. I don't know either. And or whichever it was, Google will know who did it, and I'm sure they'll sort out the perp. We had the glitch while David and I were in Sweden filming for Aimpoint on an extraordinary island where there are no predators, there are no foxes, so hares and pheasants are an agricultural pest. It meant, from the glitch point of view, David and I could do nothing about it, so thanks very much and well done to Meredith, social media manager, who stepped up, and James, commercial manager, who dropped everything and spent 2 days switching everything back to normal. There were 2 other film crews on the island. There was Rob Fickling from Beyond the Divide in Australia, who's a great guy, and there were some fun people from Outdoor Channel in the USA, Outdoor and Sportsman Channel. Although one of the Americans did say to the group rather proudly that his cable channels, Outdoor and Sportsman Channel, reach 6 million people a year. We modestly didn't mention that our YouTube channel reaches 9 million. Now, the filming we were doing there was for an Aimpoint product launch, and strangely the Australian and the American channels are not putting their films out for a year. We are putting ours out in the next few weeks, which I'd have thought, if you were a company launching a product, would be slightly better. But let's not get judgmental. Next, the brochure. We've updated our brochure to encourage more people to go to fieldsports.investory.com. You can click on the I symbol top right to go to fieldsportschannel.tv/shares, where you can look at that brochure as a PDF, and I have sent it out to a few of you. Fieldsports.investory.com remains the link for those of you who want to go through, sign up and pledge for shares in Field Sports Channel PLC. Thank you very much to those who've already done that. Those of you who've signed up and have not pledged, please go back and pledge if you want to. Have to be so careful. There is a disclaimer coming up at the end. Now, continuing my series on where gun trade marketing is going, I'm indebted to Jason Doyle, who is host presenter of Field Sports Ireland, who's just been filming in Scotland with Ridgeline Clothing, and brand manager Nigel Winkle from Ridgeline was there. They were trying out the kit, they were filming the kit, and Nigel explains that, well, a few years ago he'd have been using models. Now he has to use real wildfowlers, real deer stalkers, real hunters and shooters, and he tells us why.
In the past, you see other brands within the hunting industry, and especially the top end brands, are using models to show how nice their gear is. We're not selling nice gear. We're selling practical gear. We're selling gear that works. So for me, the most important thing is to give it to somebody that's going to go out there and do the job. The longer they're out on the hills and the longer they're in an environment that the gear's been designed for, then the better for me. If it fails, that's good, because it's telling me I'm doing something wrong. If it works, it's even better. That confirms we hopefully know what we're doing. And the shift in digital media, it's just a natural progression, I would imagine. Everybody now carries a smartphone. The first thing most of us do when we wake up in the morning, and even I do it, is look on Facebook, look on Instagram, see what's happened overnight. The first thing that you do when you get home from work is you do a similar thing. And you can hit your target audience, and it's good for the end consumer because they can see what you've got to offer straight away. And you can also get that feedback straight away. They can tell you where you're going wrong, and they can tell you whether they like what you're doing or whether they don't like what you're doing. And that's an advantage in that it allows you to change things quickly. But it also allows you to, address the concerns that the consumer has. So if I get a message on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, there's a problem, we can sort that out direct from source. Rather than taking it back to the retailer, which may take slightly longer, we can intervene and then do something about it. But also, it's a direct feedback from the guys out on the ground doing the job, because ultimately we can't always be out on the ground testing the equipment. We rely on you guys and the general public. The general public are the biggest testers of Ridgeline gear, and so far, it's a very positive response. The digital feedback you get it's instantaneous. Where with a magazine, you can put an advert in a magazine. How do you know somebody's read it? Is it doing what you want it to do? Is it visually effective? Are you giving the right information across? Are people, digesting the information that you're giving them? Sometimes you can give people information overload, and then they can look at an advert in the paper, and there'll be so much content in it, the brain can't physically digest all that information. So, doing experiments, like, images, the amount of content you put on the image, the amount of information you're putting across to the consumer, that allows you to be able to give them the right information, tell them what they need to know, the vital information they need to know, what the product does, and how it's going to benefit them.
Thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Jason. Tomorrow, Wednesday, between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the morning, if you happen to be in the home counties, particularly Bedfordshire, you can hear me defending deer stalking on local radio, BBC Radio 3 Counties. What happened was the Observer newspaper at the weekend ran a story which, back in my day, would never have got past the subs. Essentially, it said, "Deer stalkers shoot deer, shock." The story, as the Observer had it, was foreign trophy hunters are coming to Bedfordshire to shoot deer and spending up to £9,000 on a single head. It's up to the BBC to take that story on, I suppose. It's up to me to knock it on the head. And now the disclaimer. Finally, the risk warning. Investments of this nature carry risks to your capital as well as potential rewards. Approved as a financial promotion by Investors Limited, which is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, number 07236828. Next week, or the week after, but probably next week, I'll be telling you how to give Field Sports Channel shares as Christmas presents, and I will see you then.